conquest agenda will not go on in Nigeria. We usually see it where some area are being marginalized. A region like a southeast, north central, northeast has always been put aside when we are talking about the Nigeria political circle. In this area, we have not seen any one of this area produce presidency. But it's like they want to extend the marginalization by this bill that we are seeing sponsoring in the House of Assembly now. That is the bill that is talking about national traditional ruler. And they are suggesting Onni of Ife and the Sultan of Sokoto as a co-chairman. What do you have to say about this, Mr. Oyeze?
Well, I think to an extent it has been rejected by the Middle Belt Forum, and it has also been rejected by the Ohanese and other, traditional, sub-traditional institutions. If we are going to conduct this kind of a thing, I think it should be holistic. Picking major traditional rulers from multi-ethnic nationalities. So whatever that they're going to decide there, things will be factored in, and the fear that irrespective that we have Oni of Ife, we hold him in high esteem in this southern part of the country, and we know that Oni of Ife is a man who has been able to champion the Igbo cause to an extent, even Igbo culture and identity. I can guarantee you that. I can say that from all checks and balances I've been able to gather about the Oni of Ife. I respect him a man because a man of integrity is a man who believes in nationalism, who believes in the reality on ground. But if you are seeing that bill, coming out to an extent that has passed first reading and entering second reading, what is the motive of selecting the Oni of Ife and the Sultan of Sokoto to co-chair that bill? So it is threatening the institutions of traditional government. Let me put it that way. The institution of traditional government is very important, and anything that influences it, religious-wise or political-wise, has a devastating positive or negative effect on the citizens. But where we have a funny system, where everything is being tinted towards Islamization, there's fear that some level of uncertainty can come out of it, and once it come out, there might be some deep reservation, and Nigeria might be thrown into a serious chaos, and it has been rejected. And the fear is that having a caliphate who lords over almost everything in terms of religion, even down to southwest Yoruba land, is giving a serious concern to many other regions like the Middle Belt and the Southeast. I'm not talking about the Southeast. When I'm talking about the Southeast, I'm talking about both the South and Southeast, factored together, because these are things that we, the Southeastern people, might think that it's not okay by the way the government is going about it, trying to push it on the people without due consultation. There should be consultations, and if there's anything, that people need to ask questions about, we need to ask questions about it. Now Nigeria is gradually heading into a conquest agenda. Yes.
Well, Mr. Chinedu, I will agree with you partially because why not leaving this thing for the traditional ruler to choose their chairman? At least maybe they can subject this as elective something, maybe for the period of 4 years, and you leave it for them. If not that they have ulterior motive, why sponsoring bill and even suggesting a life co-chairman? If what you're saying is not true.
Femi, in fact, I 100% agree with you, because not every Nigerian want to look at it from their perspective. There is fear already, given what the jihadist Fulanis are doing, within the 36 states of the Federation. No state is left, without a cry of help, without insecurity. That's a fact. That's the reality, And if once you are government, you see, I keep on saying it, this thing is getting gradually taking different dimensions, taking different angle. Now it is the turn of the traditional institution to face reality, and the reality is that these are people who are custodians of their people. And Nigeria is a secular nation and not an Islamic nation. And I don't know what Bola Tinubu means by continuing from where Buhari stopped, and if actually he himself is trying to push this thing, since he cannot go to the direction of the political masses, then I think the traditional institutions can be able to launder it to their people. Because I don't know what what this thing is always being factored in that direction. Like you actually said, I think they have a body in Nigeria here where they can come together and said, okay, there's a resolution, and these are the people whom we are giving as co-chairman or whatever bill that's regarding or how to bring the traditional institutions closer to the government, or how to get some government enhancement and empower and deepen democracy down to the people. That would have been a whole thing. That means everybody is being carried along. Then for you to just select two people, from the entire 250 ethnic nationalities with major regions been exempted in this, it shows that there must be more to it. There has always been fear of Islamic, tendencies in Nigerian seat of power, and you can see that it's very suspicious. We know that actually there's a Muslim ticket. Shetima is a Muslim, and the president Bola Tinubu is a Muslim. We saw him while he was addressing the bishops in Nigeria just a few weeks ago, where he said that his wife is a pastor and does not have that tendencies. But we're not going to look like that. We are looking at the act of law that embodies every other thing that has to do with Nigeria existence. And we are talking about bringing this thing the way it is now. I think it is regrettable and it should be condemned. The Middle Belt Forum and the Ohanese leaders has come out together and said it is no go area. And what is the fear? The fear is that the compromise to bring an act or to bring a kind of Sharia. We saw the battle the Yorubas fought when the Sultan of Sokoto declared that before anything that can take place in Southwest is that he needs to be consulted, and because he's the head of the caliphate and all Muslims in Nigeria, including the Yorubas Muslims.
Very, very unfortunate, because this bill, I think, is a very, very nice bill. Apart from this clause that has everything, because we need to involve our traditional ruler in making sure that we achieve peace in our domain. But Mr. Chinedu, don't you think that much more than Oanese and the Middle Belt Forum, the people that came, I mean, from that angle, a member of House of Representative from North Central, member of House of Representative from Southeast, and the senators, don't you think they are the one that's supposed to kick? Because this one that they're just making, they're just talking. How far do you think their word can turn things around?
In honest truth, I believe that every representative there is Fulanized. It's been produced by the Fulani oligarchy. Every House representative, every House Senate, might have visited the caliphate in one way or the other before the endorsement. And while you are visiting, while they are visiting, a certain agreement might have been reached. There's no two words about it. If it is not coming directly from them, then it is coming from their godfathers. So it will be very difficult at that level in the federal, House and in the Senate for them to stand up, to checkmate or try to balance or try to know the integrity of that mission. So very difficult. So that is where it is left for social cultural organizations that protect the heritage and integrity and the culture of every region, who feel threatened by the imposition of these people. Like you rightly said, they would have leave it clearly to the traditional rulers to decide, how they're going to do and who's going to represent them at the end of the day. But for you to pick this North and the New Fife, for me, it is not very correct. And for Hanese, it is not very correct. And to Middle Belt, the fear of killings and conquest agenda, might also get to the level of influencing a prominent traditional rulers within the region to key into whatever with that in disguise. Because you see, when you see all these things happening like this, I keep on telling you in honest truth that the governors we are having, especially in the eastern part of the country, are being endorsed and imposed and planted by the Fulani oligarchy.
Hmm. This one, before we go, let's talk about what if this law had been passed, because the law, passing of the law and giving assent to it is done by the House of Assembly and the presidency. If it has been passed to law, what do you think Oanese and people, Middle Belt Forum, what do you think they can do?
I think there's a resistance has mounted, and those who are seen to be representative in these regions that is mostly crying out now should be held responsible.
Hmm.
That's what it means. And if anything go wrong, they'll be held responsible. And that they have rejected it, and they have rejected it, and there's no two ways about it. Nigeria is not an Islamic organization, and in any situation where we are seeing this kind of a thing, rearing its head amidst conquest agenda that is already going on, and the possibility of these people coming out, in disguise, pretentiously, that it might be a kind of, bringing. Yes, when we are bringing the traditional institutions, agreed. Yeah, it's okay. Closer to the government, Then what are you? What are the policies? What are you giving them? What are you presenting to them? That's the fear.
No, but do you think we should wait a bit and see the real content of this thing? Because sometimes some bill in Nigeria, they will not well explained until you go through it. Maybe if we're able to go through it, we may see some other things, because there are so many times government want to make law and people will feel jittery about it. But later you discover that what they are even trying to do, it may be better in that way. Do you see any positive thing beyond this thing we are complaining about?
Femi, let me tell you very clearly. And I say possibly even in Afenifere and of course in Middle Belt Forum. Let me just say it. I don't tell me we don't have professionals there. We don't tell me that we don't have political scientists there. You don't tell me you don't have people who can forecast. You don't tell me you don't have people who can analyze. Before they come out publicly to reject it, completely. They rejected it completely, and told the whole world that at this point in time they are not being carried along, and they don't know what they're talking about. And the funny part of it is that there is fear that it might lead to Islamic conquest of the traditional institutions in Nigeria.
Before we go, let's relate this thing with a bill sponsored by Benjamin Kalu and Opu Isodima, the issue of indigenization, that if you spend 10 years in a particular place, you have right to indigenize yourself and you become indigenous, and you are entitled to every right in that area. Does that one also sound like a Fulani conquest agenda, or we can all benefit from it?
That's a very beautiful question. I can tell you that if you're talking about indigenization, it means you are indigenous. They're trying to make you a Nigerian, with law and without a proper constitution to back it up. Without proper consultation. These are the things they promise, and they feel make Nigerians to feel as if they belong to an entity called Nigeria. Do they actually belong to an entity called Nigeria? There's nothing wrong with indigenization, kind of, but the purpose of which it should be established. What are the policies that people want to see in that indigenization? That is very important. But if we don't see that, you see, these people might sit down one day and come up with a policy just to impress a public without knowing properly how to factor it to mean and create a secular understanding about the situation on ground.
This is my point. This thing can benefit all of us mutually, but we know the general overdua. in this country. With this kind of a thing, don't you think it will open door for Fulani to dominate everywhere?
Well, my brother, see, let me tell you, from every angle, and the fear of these major ethnic lords in Nigeria, and some other people too, who are entertaining this fear of, see, eh, traditional institution is very sensitive. They are seen as the custodians of the culture and tradition of the people. And if you are trying to introduce any form of virus, whether money induced or whether you have been lobbied to accept it or not, and people are saying, no, we're not going to accept that. There must be something in it that is having a fearless, a fearful, entertainment either now or in the future, and that is what we are seeing now. There's a clear fact that there is a political Fulani agenda going on in the southern part of the country. And secondly, the target might be a different thing from what we are perceiving to be the traditional institution coming in to the bill that's been sponsored. Bros, no, what that bill means is what? What do we understand by that bill? It's also trying to push it through that angle. It's the same conquest, it's the same Fulani agenda that is going on. There's no two ways about it. And they are saying no to it front and back. There will be resistance at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's 15 minutes.